Welcome back. All right. So another video by Communication Man, aka Alexander. All right. So something interesting I want to talk about is protecting yourself emotionally. Okay. So the first concept is do not be tricked or swindled. Okay. So victims. I'm not talking about real victims like people that were in serious incidences or whatever. I'm talking about like people that have the mindset of a victim. They don't want to change. They don't want to grow. They're the worst people to be in a relationship with because you'll never ever please them. Everything you do will always somehow be wrong, and they're manipulative. They'll always word it in a way where somehow it's your fault, and they'll make you think you're insane. Okay, so the most important thing is you just do not be tricked or swindled. Okay, stay away from these people or minimize the connection you have with them because their goal is to damage, and they're like energy vampires. They just like to leech onto people because they're miserable most of the time. And if they see you doing anything remotely good, it's just like a way to chip at you. Okay, but the problem is you yourself have to start thinking about that as you're in the relationship discovery process, or if you already have founded relationships. So, and the second thing is to think about is when you're in a situation where you're getting attacked or you feel like you're bombarded, the key word to say is help, right? So you got to help yourself by not being a victim. Okay, so if you realize that this is happening, you're getting attacked, you're becoming kind of ensnared by people that don't have good intentions for you. Okay, it just seems like you're the one that's always trying to kind of bend backwards, and it always seems like you're kind of getting manipulated. Well, it's probably because you are. Okay, so the third thing is stay away from people with victimhood addiction. Okay, so these are people who they don't even realize it themselves, or maybe they do, but they're too they don't want to admit it. Okay, but they're secretly or unconsciously comfortable with always finding fault with something in someone else. Okay, and it's their kind of addiction to just always have this internal struggle. And there's always got to be something wrong, right? And my theory is because it's like they don't have to change, right? It's always someone else has to change. And also controlling. It's a really creepy control thing. Okay, so we don't want to get involved in relationships with people like that, and if we are, we want to minimize it because they're like addicted to always create. They're like attracting harm, and there's just always something wrong. There's always something uncomfortable, never right, and it's like their mindset attracts it. And they may say they want to change or secretly, oh, I want to be, I want this or want that, but look at their actions, don't look at their words. Okay, so it's really important to protect yourself emotionally from these vampires. Okay, so anytime you do something new, all right, anything with risk, okay, any adventure, any new experience that you're sticking up for yourself, you're growing a backbone, you're being healthier, you're cutting out the people that shouldn't be in your life, or minimizing the interaction with people who are trying to harm you, right? You're like an astronaut going into space, okay? You're going into new territory, okay? So the thing you need to understand is there's some people that do not want to be changed, okay? So if you're one of those people that like to fix things and you're always solution oriented, these people will drive you crazy because they're problem oriented, okay? They're the exact opposite of the solution. They always look for something in their childhood, something their spouse did, their mom did, their friend did, society. There's always something that they can find to gripe about. And that's their whole motto. That's like their modus operandi. Like they don't believe that they're the person in the mirror that needs to like check their feelings out, right? And like adapt and overcome and be okay with discomfort, because anytime you're doing something new, anytime you're growing, you're an astronaut going into space. It's new territory. Okay, so it's really important to understand that. Stay away from people with victimhood addiction. Okay, these people are like the plague for you emotionally. Okay, they're just always going to somehow, like a cancer, like a spider, slowly weave around you until, like a black widow, you're bitten and their poison's kind of injected in you and you don't even know what happened. Okay, so it's really important. So the reason is these victimhood addiction type of people, they're unconsciously, they love feeling like the victim because they get to blame others for all their discomfort. It's always someone else. It's always someone else with the problem. It's always something outside of them. So it's a real convenient excuse. You blame someone else, and that's why they don't have to change and never have to grow and never have to improve. It's always your fault. And if anyone starts off a conversation with, you make me feel uncomfortable. Okay, well, first off, no one has the power to make anyone else feel uncomfortable. You literally can't control their emotions or how they perceive you. So that right there is already, you can hear the victimhood in just how they talk. Okay. And if I feel this certain way, it's like, well, okay, I can't control how you feel. And I can't, like, I'm not going to like be a robot to try to be something I'm not just to please you and walk on eggshells. And then they say, well, no, we don't want that. We don't want you to do that. But that's exactly what they want to do. Okay. They want you to be their puppet, and you're, like hanging from a string under their hand, and you can never satisfy them. Okay, so these are really creepy kind of people and creepy relationships, and they're always seeking out to harm people. It's always like they're always seeking on what's wrong, what's negative, and that's their whole goal. Like, they're going to always push away healthy people because healthy people don't want to get sick. All right, it's like a sick mindset. So the reason I say this, all growth is discomfort. Okay, why? Because it's new territory, right? So I've mentioned that a couple times. It's a theme here. Okay, I picked the astronaut for a reason, because if you're going to start a business, if you're going to go to school, if you're going to do something outside of your comfort zone, you're an astronaut exploring some new territory. Okay, it's a good symbol. All right, because astronauts take a lot of risk. Okay, if by accident, God forbid, something really bad happened and they got cut off from the spaceship and they float out into space, I mean, there's not much you can do to help them, right? It's a really sad scenario. So it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Okay, so anytime you step out of your comfort zone or stand up for yourself, if you're something I've always struggled with, and I'm like improving it, is just always trying to be the nice guy, nice girl. Well, you know what that means is you get crapped on and you let people you just go with the flow, trying not to take anyone off. Well, the truth is, if you have the right thing, you're doing the right thing, you may or may not be liked by people. And if they don't like you, okay, you're going to have to figure out you accept that. It's okay. All right. And if these people can't accept that, they're like the victim mindset. And I'm not talking about if you're purposely doing something to hurt someone or harm someone or treat people rude or disrespectful. I'm not talking about that. You want to treat people well and be kind and courteous. That's not the same thing. I'm talking about where people just manipulate you. So quick story. All right. It's a quick story. So one of the things that I noticed, where I changed a lot when I was in the military, and it's like something I've had to like still work on, because it's like you take one step forward, and then another step back, and then two steps forward, then one step back. So like you keep slowly progressing, but it's sometimes you got to check yourself, right? And one of the things I used to be so scared of was just saying the truth, okay, in a way that wasn't like bringing a sledgehammer down. That's not an easy thing to do, okay? And the truth is, some people can't handle like the actual truth, and you got to be careful with that too. And the thing is, so I had someone who I was working with, and one of the things they always did was they would show up late, and then they would try to get me to cover for them and say, like, change their log and said that they were on time. Or another thing that would happen is they would basically stay up really. We had these like strict rules in the military for certain type of processes for like logging in things that we checked out as a broadcast journalist. So like camera equipment, sound equipment, things like that. And then you had to like return it. And there's like all these like checks we have to go through so people don't steal it or damage it or whatever. And this guy would just take advantage of my kindness and say, oh, hey, can you just take it back? And sometimes they would, but it just became such a habit. And it was just like not really good, because then if there was a problem, it would kind of fall on me, or it was always kind of putting me in a bad situation. And it took me a long time to just finally say no. And he didn't like it. He said, you're come on, dude, just help me out. And I was like, no, you got to do it yourself. I'm not doing this anymore. And it created a rift. And for the remaining of our time together, he didn't really like me, and that's okay. You just have to accept that some people, they only like you when they can use you. And then as soon as you stop letting them, use you, then they hate you. Then you really see what they are. Okay? What are those people? They're judgmental, buttheads. Okay? I mean, there's a lot worse words you can use, right? But the truth is, judgmental people, they're going to do that anyway. Okay? So you might as well not try to like please the people that you can never please. All right. So that's why I created this video. Kind of wanted to talk about how to protect yourself emotionally, and that's to really understand that there's two types of people in this world. Okay, there's people that are solution oriented and they're not victim oriented. Okay, they're like the exact opposite. Okay, like all these horrible things could happen to them and they don't care. That's not their focus. Their focus is on what can I do about it? How can I fix it? How can I make my life better? How can I be a kinder person? Whatever it is, how can I improve this situation? Victimhoods are like victim like mentality. It's a complete opposite thinking. It's always the problem. It's, oh, but this happened, or she hurt me, or I was hurt, or I don't feel good. It's always about like these really immature, super insecure, like childish feelings. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like that. It's just, and it's like those are the people that you got to be careful when you're like, if you're dating, to stay away from, because you'll see it in their language, you'll see it in their behavior, like they're really passive aggressive, try to like always somehow pin you for something you didn't do, and they'll never take responsibility for like what they do. They'll take responsibility for like 1% and then 99% twist it, and it's really confusing because it's like you don't want to hurt them, but at the same time you can't live with someone and you can't really have a business relationship or a strong emotional relationship with someone who they always want to be a victim. Okay, because this whole earth, this whole world has a million reasons why you can be a victim. I mean, and anybody like that's lived for more than, a couple of days can figure this out. I'm being figuratively speaking, of course. But the point is, it's this earth is hard. All right, there's nothing about this earth that's super easy. Okay, and if anyone tells you that, I don't know what they're smoking, but it's probably some good stuff. Okay, because the truth is, this earth, I don't think it's designed to be easy. Okay, this whole survival thing and this society and working out relationships and overcoming problems, you have to have the astronaut mindset of, okay, I'm venturing new territory, I'm growing, I'm seeking the solution, not the problem. Okay, and victims don't have that mindset. They just want to be always cradled and always being told that, it's like it's not their fault. Okay, so stay away from that. Stay away from those people, and guess what? They might hate you, they might cut you off, and that's okay. Good riddance. Okay, if you have to lose some friends, there's some really important relationships, people you care about, you do the best you can to connect with them, try to salvage a good, salvage the important things in the relationship, but don't subject yourself to being a punching bag, because these people will punch you over and over and over and over until they drain you of everything they possibly can. Okay, they're energy vampires. They're not givers, they're takers. And they might pretend in public and they'll tell people, the words that make them sound nice, but the truth is their actions, they'll kind of hide it and kind of sneak around, and they're really harmful. And you got to be careful just to like, okay, I love you as a person, but I can't let you just spit all over me and just like manipulate me for the rest of my life. It's like, so that's the thing you got to understand. Okay, so I want you to get that in your head. It's okay not to be liked by everyone. It's okay. You're gonna have to sacrifice sometimes certain things to get your safety and your peace of mind. Okay, so some people aren't gonna like you for you being you, and that's okay. So just remember that victims are problem focused, and victors, the people who are like making their life better, are solution oriented, and that's their focus. They're not always trying to find the wrong thing. They're trying to find, okay, what works, how can I implement it? Okay, all right, trivia time. This is a good one. So how significant are the words we use? How significant do you think the words are that we use? Okay, so you may be shocked, okay, to learn that your words only transport about 7% of what you're attempting to say. Okay, so the remaining 93% is transferred through body language and the sound of your voice. Okay, so I made another video. You should watch it. It's really good, and it talks about this. There's 4 secrets, foundations of all communication. Okay. So the important thing is, think about that. You think your words are like the most critical thing, and they're great, okay? But really, they're about 7%. It's the tone, okay? So even how I'm talking, like my tone is giving the words the deeper meaning, okay? And in person, the body language, you can see kind of what's going on, how the person's reacting to you, if they're distracted, if they're focused on you, what their energy's like, okay? So it's really important to understand that, because people that like this video is about emotionally protecting yourself from basically energy vampires and people that have like the victimhood mindset. People that have that, you'll see in their body language, in the sound of their voice, if it's whiny, if it's always focused on what's wrong, it's just never good enough. Those are clues to protect yourself. Okay, so people who are succeeding, who are like positive, who they don't like, all the things in their life, but they're improving the things in their life. They're positive oriented. Okay, they talk about what's going to work, what they need to change, but correct. But it's never like to focus on the negative. It's to focus on, okay, yeah, you know what, this isn't working, but this does work, or let's try this and see if it works. And it's a totally different attitude, different sound, and it's positive. You can hear it in their voice. People that are real like negative energy, they're always ho hum. You just feel it, like, oh man, how's it going? Fine. What's going on? I hate my life. I mean, you just feel it, like, ugh, just run away from that. Okay, so those are the people that they're just gonna cut you internally and spiritually and physically and just suck all the energy out of you like a vacuum. And they don't care if you die. They don't care if you shrivel up. It's like they're kind of happy, because miserable people love to be miserable. So if you're miserable, just like kind of celebrate. They can celebrate the fact that you're basically losing together. So you don't want that. Okay, you want to win. You want to be around people who are winning, who have that mindset. It's okay if you don't like me. That's fine. All right, take it or leave it. But I'm going to do the best I can, and I'm going to go for the things I want in life. I'm not going to complain about the things I don't like. All right, cool. So I talked about this in my first video, but I'm going to touch base on it. And it's a really cool thing. I created this thing called Positive Advice in 60 seconds, give or take. And I like I said before, but I'll just repeat it for people who haven't seen it. That first video, I was in the Air Force. We used to have this really cool number we could call as like a leadership thing for one of the top commanders, and he would just give a real quick. It's called the Leadership Minute, and he'd just give a minute or two of some really good advice, and you just called the number and you could hear it. So I have my own kind of positive lifeline, positive advice, whatever you want to call it, for communication and life in general. And that number is 530-686-5337. Again, that's area code 1-530-686-5337. And that's a United States number. So you got to hit 1 before you call that if you're out international. Okay, so the important thing is, what I want you to get is, if you're just kind of bored, or if you kind of like want some advice, just call the number. It's fun. And if you like it, leave a voicemail, positive, what you like. And if there's something you'd like me to talk about or teach, or do some research on, leave a comment or suggestion. And like and subscribe this video if you like it. I appreciate it if you give me some comments and things that you'd like to see, or like to see more of, or expand on. That's welcome too. And like I said, just I personally I saved this number in my star contact list. So if you want, you could do the same thing, and you can just call it every now and then. I think I'm going to do every Monday. I'll update it every Monday and give a new one each week if it catches on. So I'm testing this out just to see how it works. And this is for people who want to help themselves, who like this kind of positive mindset and taking good action. For the trolls and stuff, like I mentioned before, I'll just block you if if you don't really care about it. But this is for people who are like I said, people who want to help themselves, and they like this kind of positive message. All right, I love you guys, and hope this was helpful. And like I said, like and subscribe.